Hey, we're live. Hello, Canada and Canadian sports fans in the United States of America and around the world. Welcome to the RP Show, a very special edition because it is a Wednesday, episode number 1028. And we're live, as always, on the Game Plus Television Network, the Key Radio, WQEE in Atlanta, where we are Atlanta's NHL station show and the NHL station, right? Ryan R Radio down there, podcast and YouTube live. We're set to have a lot of fun here over the next 2 hours. We always do. It continues to be a Dupont Media and Cavalli Channeling production. And Moose, are we going to bring you in here right now? We've got a lot to get to today. It's a very big day. We've got a fun poll question coming up, the NHL draft. A lot of things to get to. He is in Toronto. I'm in Calgary. What's the Toronto report today, sir?
You know, it's funny. I left here yesterday. It was 6:30 when I left the office. And I'm like, there's a lot of people on the street. What's going on?
Right.
There's a lot of people in red. They've got their Canada shirts on. Holy smokes, there's a soccer game going on today. Canada and Guadalupe. So it was that kind of hit me. And it kind of reminded me that in a city this size, it feels like there's always something going on.
Yeah, for sure. Same thing as Calgary. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to hit the quick six show gong, and we'll open with point one. The 2-day, 7-round NHL entry draft gets underway tonight at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. The Chicago Blackhawks will make the first overall pick at just after 7 p.m. Eastern Time and are expected to take teen phenom Connor Bedard of North Vancouver, BC. The Anaheim Ducks select second, followed by the Columbus Blue Jackets, San Jose Sharks, and Montreal Canadiens. The Vancouver Canucks are picking 11th, the Calgary Flames 16th, the Winnipeg Jets 18th, and the Toronto Maple Leafs 28th. We could spend 2 hours on this being a draft show. I want to say this before we get on to the other topics. A few things. And pay attention, Darren. You always do. I need your thoughts on a few things here. Number one, I'm watching all the coverage on TSN and Sportsnet. I'm seeing the social media of our friends, and I'm like, I was getting considerable FOMO. Considerable FOMO. Fear of missing out. Not just at the NHL draft. There's always a lot of fun, but we wanted to be there with Connor on his special day. We've known him since before, for a long time, since he was 14 years of age. So I said to the guys here, we got to be at the NHL draft moving forward. That's got to be a thing. I understand these media weren't at the NHL All-Star game. Most weren't at the Stanley Cup final. I get that. But I kind of wish I was there. But the FOMO went away last night. Going to the Special Ferrari of Alberta unveiling of the 2024. How do you say it? The poor saying, I think it's Italian for pure blood. It's the first ever four-door Ferrari was unveiled last night. Poor saying, that's what it was. Poor saying, the Ferrari. Yeah. That was fun. It took my mind off the NHL draft festivities last night, Moose, out in Rocky View County, Alberta, with all the big shots and the big money. We met a lot of exciting people there. And I'll tell more stories later. People are here for sports today, not to talk about my life. But we know it's going to be Bedard number one. People are texting me, hockey guys, joking that it won't be. And I'm like, there's no waste. Don't waste my time.
Yeah.
But here's my point. I looked up Bob McKenzie's draft. We have a lot of friends in the know that do mock drafts. But Bob McKenzie, Bobby Margarita's the GOAT. We all know that. He's been doing this for 40 years with his mock drafts. He's got Adam Fantilli from Michigan, Canadian forward, at number 2. It's not hard to find. I'm not sure that I do. Does Bobby Margarita have a track record of being pretty dead on with his mock drafts? Because there are other players. Zach Benson of now the Wenatchee Wild. It hurt me a little bit to read the things, and it has Zach Benson, Wenatchee Wild. I'm like, what? He's a Winnipeg Ice to me.
He didn't even play in Wenatchee.
No, exactly. And they got him going 9th. So I guess I ask you, and I ask the audience, Bob McKenzie, and to our U.S. audience, they know who he is. Bobby's into the millions of Twitter followers. They follow him in the States, too. Should we be going by his? What do you think?
I think
how much should we be going by it? Sorry.
I know. You should be going with his a little bit. I mean, he's probably, Craig Button, too, they know and have a pretty good idea who's going to go in the top 10 to 15 picks. I don't think anybody knows exactly what order teams are going to go, because as we sit here today in the draft, I mean, we know Bedard's going to go number 1. we're pretty confident that it'll be Fantilli or Carlson number 2, but it kind of depends on needs. Like there's talk of, if Fantilli doesn't go 2, maybe he can drop a couple more spots. So it depends on what teams are looking for and what they need. And then I know we'll get to this and talk about this today, but the big wild card of the whole first round, and like the reason that I'm going to tune in tonight, is all about Matvei Michkov. Like, does the team think he's good enough, and willing to wait to take him second, third, fourth, fifth? Or is he going to fall a little bit? I'm really curious about that.
Boy, we got a lot of things to get to here today. And we've got CFL on the docket. We've got Blue Jays on the docket. We've got Canada's men's soccer on the docket. We do. But we've got breaking news, Kevin the Medium. We're going to have a draft party tonight. I've just decided we have to watch this round 1 tonight. He says no, he can't. What do you got going on? I'm having a draft party tonight.
Good.
Okay, he's busy, but I got it now. I can't just sit and watch this in my room at Hotel Cleat Calgary Airport. Maybe we'll have it in the Tonic Bar, where it's always a good time. $19.99 tonic burger and beer is the deal. You'll have to take my word for it. But I see Craig Button here has Connor Bedard 1, Adam Fantilli 2, Sweden's Leo Carlson 3, Matvei Michkov 4. So there is some discrepancy here. He's got Zach Benson 14th. He's got Braden Yager of the Moose Jaw Warriors 18th. Braden Yager, who I'm not sure you were sitting at the table with me, where an NHL scout called him the Nathan McKinnon of the Western Hockey League.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're talking about here. All these kids now that we watched play in the bubble when they were 15 years of age. You and I broadcast the games on television, regional television. They're now this is the day. So the more I think about it, because I'm a one day at a time guy, I know a lot of the hockey fans and the prospects nerds have been getting horny about this for months. Now it took me until today, and I'm into it. So there's that. And then the other thing, go and read my commentary, rodpeterson.com, or listen to it on Sask Radio. As of tonight, just after 7 p.m. Eastern, Connor Bedard becomes former Regina Pat Connor Bedard. And that doesn't make me upset. That doesn't make me sad, because I'll tell you why. I enjoyed every single second of his junior career. From interviewing before he was drafted number 1 overall by the Pats, into the camps, broadcasting his games. You and I called his first ever career WHL goal in his first game, second period against the PA Raiders. On through all of it. So there's no regrets. He leaves as the greatest Regina Pat ever. Still a bad decision not to trade him. We'll talk about that next fall. As for tonight, they're going to say the Chicago Blackhawks select from the Western Hockey League's Regina Pats Connor Bedard, and the crowd goes wild. And then we'll move on to point 2, which is NHL notes. We got a few things to get through today, and I'll remind you, we are broadcasting live on Game Plus Television out of Toronto, WQEE Radio out of Atlanta, and then podcast and YouTube Live. So we are in 3 NHL markets, 1 NFL market. But so number 1, after a string of, my first NHL note, after a string of meetings, new Maple Leafs general manager Brad Treliving has decided Sheldon Keefe is still the person for the job as head coach of the Maple Leafs, at least for now. Treliving announced Tuesday the 42-year-old Keefe will be back behind the Leafs bench in October, but without a contract extension in hand beyond the 1 season remaining on his current deal. We'll get to the trades in a moment, but to me, this just seems like a formality. Is this news to Leafs Nation that Sheldon Keefe will be back? Because I all along got a sense this was the way it was going to go.
Yeah, we had a sense this would happen, especially with Treliving's track record. When he got to Calgary, kept the coach, same thing for a couple of seasons. But I think it is news because we were all wondering it. And I think not just we as in Leafs fans, but I think in the hockey world, we wondered, what would he do? And anytime a new GM comes into a new team, he's got to evaluate the coach and the personnel and decide if he wants those people around. And so I think that was always going to be a point of interest, and now it's put to bed. So you move forward and start to focus on other things.
There are a lot of comments coming in from the audience, by the way, pertaining to a lot of things. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, says, do teams get kickbacks from producing first-round picks, or is this simply all pub? Yes, they do get kickbacks. I don't know. It's what you could call transfer payments, basically, from the National Hockey League to the Canadian Hockey League or whoever produced these players. They do, and it goes down in reverse descending order based on the round. So, yes, they do get money for these picks. This is where they, it's a large part of their budget, quite frankly. Carlos in Indianapolis says, and you all get to say you knew Bedard before he got mega famous. Yeah, that's a big deal, I guess. Joe Lazito is watching in New York. And he says, based on the thousands of season tickets Chicago sold after winning the draft lottery, the city will burn to the ground if they don't draft Bedard. And that's the thing. I mean, the people that are texting me, they're like, I'm not even going to dignify it because they are hockey people, double alumni. What if they don't take Bedard? Shut up. Stop wasting my time. Somewhere along. Yeah, go ahead.
He's not sitting there with a paper in his pocket saying Matvei Michkov, no matter what. Like, it's not in the pocket of the GM.
It's not happening. No.
It's not happening. They're taking Bedard. End of story. The real question is who's going number 2, and where's Michkov going?
Why we'll all be watching for sure. And the other thing is, somebody said you should go on and tell your all-time favorite draft stories. And I've told this story before, but I'll say it again. And I might have the numbers somewhat upset here. I can very quickly go to the big board and look at the 1996 NHL draft. It was the second draft I'd ever attended after 95. In here it is in Edmonton, but I was at that party at General Grant's Ranch in St. Louis. Here it is. And Jimmy Buzdell, one of my dad's scouting buddies, scouting for the Flames, the Buzzard, he pulls me aside at this party at General Grant's Ranch. It's better than it sounds. Okay, little NHL reception on the Friday night, and Jimmy says, "We got number 13 overall. We're taking Derek Morris." We're taking Derek Morris with the 13th overall pick. I'm like, you are? And I'm like, and if you tell anybody, I'll freaking kill you. Okay. This was, I guess, the night before the draft, because back then it was all went on the Saturday. And then they did, but at 12, they went with Josh Holden. The Vancouver Canucks went with Josh Holden, and then Derek Morris, the very next pick to the Calgary Flames, and then later on in that same draft, Boyd Kane, Curtis Tippler. Doesn't mean anything to you people, but it does to me. And in that draft class, I'm just looking, ding, Chris Phillips, Andre Zuzan, J.P. Dumont, Dan Vogt. We won't talk about that. Yogi Zaykovsky, Matt Higgins, a great Boost Jaw Warrior. Now I'm getting down the rabbit hole of draft history. Daniel Briere, Phoenix, first round. Now the general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers. How about that? So there's one draft story. It was in St. Louis. It was one of the greatest trips of my life. Thanks to the Pats for taking me. I got to see Busch Stadium. Good time. Anyways,
I thought the draft story you were going to tell was it not Columbus with your dad when you shared the hotel room and the snoring was pulling the curtains off the wall? Was that the story? That's why I was laughing.
No, because our flight got canceled back. I'll never forget. Greatest day of my life was the Saturday of late June 2007, Columbus. And I flew to Columbus to cover the NHL draft. And I stayed with my dad. He was with the Dallas Stars. He was near the end of his time with the Stars. We walked the streets. The Sunday was the day the draft was over. We walked all downtown Columbus. And then we were to fly home, and our flight got canceled back to the Queen City. So we had to stay together. And no, we didn't stay during the draft, we stayed in the same room. But when we got canceled, our flight, the lady was like, "Would you like to stay with your dad?" From Delta Airlines at the ticket counter. And I'm like, no, because I won't sleep all night. But it wasn't because of my dad that I wasn't sleeping all night. It was because I was out on the town. That's another story. Columbus, great town. Go to the club called Spice. They might, I think, still have my credit card there. Anyways, some big trades. We only got 2 minutes here. We'll have to carry this over into the next segment. The up-and-coming New Jersey Devils have acquired veteran forward Tyler Toffoli from the Calgary Flames for forward Yegor Sharangovich and a draft pick they recently acquired in a deal with Columbus. Sharangovich signed a 2-year extension today with the Flames for a little over $6 million. The Devils will give the Flames the third-round pick they got from the Blue Jackets and a sign-and-trade deal that sent defenseman Damon Severson to Columbus, pride of Melville Sask. Toffoli entering the final year of a 4-year deal that he signed with Montreal. And then the Winnipeg Jets trading star forward Pierre-Luc Dubois to the LA Kings in exchange for 3 forwards and a 2024 second-round draft pick. Dubois was a restricted free agent coming off a one-year deal. He's agreed to an 8-year contract with an average annual value of $8.5 million for a total of $68 million, the Kings said in a release. Coming to Winnipeg, forwards Alex Iafallo, Rasmus Kupari, and Gabriel Velarde as part of the trade package. All three of the players have spent their entire careers with the LA Kings. I'll say this. I did talk to an NHL scout this morning from another team. Had nothing to do with either one of these teams. And I said, does this not seem like a lot to give up for Pierre-Luc Dubois? And his response was simply, seems like a lot. Send. So Kevin Cheveldayoff, I'll be honest with you, Winnipeg, you should be happy because you got rid of a guy that didn't want to be there on an expiring deal for 3, looks like pretty good players, not prospects, players, and a draft pick coming the other way. Chevy wins the deal. So the rebuild continues. Now we're going to break and come back and talk about more Canada's game of the week in the CFL, the Blue Jays. But I will tell you, at Hotel Clique Calgary Airport, we do weddings, everybody. A wealth of event and banquet space and all-inclusive packages starting at just $79.95 per person. Inquire at hotelclique.ca. We'll be right back after this break on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, of course, podcast and YouTube Live. All right, welcome back, everybody, to Ace Casino Airport Calgary and Hotel Clay Calgary Airport. It is not our NHL draft preview special, but it could basically be that. We're going to switch over to football here in a second and baseball, too. John Ohm in Winnipeg watching. He says, no pressure to be a hockey stud, eh? Connor Bedard, the kid can handle anything. Cheers to you, bro. Connor Bedard isn't feeling any pressure. And as a matter of fact, I love the comment from Adam Fantilli yesterday, meeting with the media. Fantilli goes, there's nothing we can do now. We just need to sit back and enjoy. We've played all our games. There's nothing more the players can do. And I like that attitude. Sit back and enjoy the process, as they say. Ryan McCarthy is watching in New York regarding the Toffoli trade, and he says, us Devils fans are going to enjoy having Toffoli. We need clutch scoring, especially in the playoffs. Best wishes to Sharangovich. The Flames get a solid penalty killer. About those trades, and Randy from Winnipeg writes in and says, Chevy did well this time. He did. When this was all coming down yesterday, I admire the guys that do on-the-spot analysis. I really do. And they do a good job, especially Hustler, who sends his regards, by the way, Hustler for Winnipeg Sports Talk, but he's unable to join us, Moose, because he's recording stuff. And trust me, I get it. It's a gong show down there. He provided instant analysis of the trade, but he should. It's Winnipeg Sports Talk. I want to sit back and think about it a little bit. I want to hear what a guy like Craig Conroy has to say about the Toffoli trade. And in the nugget I got from Conroy in his interview here in Calgary on Fan 960 yesterday was that they got younger. He said Toffoli had a great season, 73 points. He was the leading scorer. And I don't think I've misread this. Toffoli, I believe, was a Sutter guy. He was a Sutter guy. Won a Stanley Cup with Darren in 2014. To be honest, the more they can blow up what they have and start fresh in Calgary is what they need to do, and that is what they are doing. Travis Rosebrook in Winnipeg writes that he says, Winnipeg should be very happy with the return they got for PLD. Every time I think of him, I remember his last shift that he played for Columbus. Oh, my goodness. Joe Lazado says guys like Ryan McCarthy, Devils fan, have to be pumped with the great job general manager Tom Fitzgerald is doing over there. I got to think, was Fitzgerald a finalist for general manager of the year in the NHL? I know Bill Zito was one. It's just because he's the Panthers guy. Lindy Ruff is a finalist for coach of the year. Came out of nowhere. I mean, obviously, Paul Maurice probably should have been given more consideration than he was. But Tom Fitzgerald, GM of the year in the NHL, will he win it? Because they haven't handed it out yet. I'd be interested to know. People do want to talk hockey. Yeah, go ahead, man.
I can tell you the finalists for the 23 GM of the year. Dallas's Jim Nill, Boston's Don Sweeney, and Florida's Bill Zito were the trio.
How does Tom Fitzgerald not be a finalist? You know, and furthermore, I don't want to ostracize myself any more from the mainstream media than I already have. But we are mainstream media because we're on national television every day, which a lot of them can't say. But did you see Max Domi's tweet yesterday? Max Domi was like, did you see it? Because it went viral. He goes, what's worse, a fifth place vote for Connor McDavid or Miro Heiskanen finishing seventh for the Norris? Who's voting on this? And Serena and I were talking about this, the Golden Girl, which, by the way, not only does she say the show looks great today, she also says, how can Bob McKenzie determine who will go 2 through 10 when he only watched the World Juniors? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. But at least Bob watches the games. I'll say it because I don't think they're watching now. From the very first game I sat in the press box at FLA Live Arena in Florida, you remember me saying this to you, and I never said it on the air, but I was like, they're not even watching the damn game, the media. Some of these people that have votes for these awards are sitting there watching the TV monitor, watching the Dolphins, or watching the Miami Hurricanes, or watching the Marlins. I'm like, guys, the game's down there. So a lot of them, I'm not saying all of them because a lot of guys and girls are great at their job, but a lot of them are literally not even watching the games. And they're voting on these awards. So that's who. Because Serena was so upset last year when Austin Matthews beat out McDavid for MVP in the Hart. And I was like, you can't be upset about that. These awards mean nothing because of the voting. The CFL really is not that dissimilar. Do you have thoughts on that before I move on?
No, it's really difficult. Like, you know, to vote on these awards, because you're right. Like, Are you sitting down and watching every game? And not that you're going to watch every game, but if you're not watching the games, are you watching every highlight? Are you following every storyline? Do it's tough enough to cover one team, when you have to as a writer of the Bruins or the Flyers or whoever. And then you've also got to pay attention to the rest of the National Hockey League to vote on these awards. How often do you get swayed by public opinion or by stats, or, you know what I mean? Like, incredibly difficult. The smaller the group of writers is and the voters are, I think it's a little better because you can choose people who watch more games. But I mean, it's an outlier to see a guy vote for McDavid fifth. So, I mean, at least the rest of them got it right.
Seth Rothenberger? What was his name again?
Rosengardner?
Roethlisberger? Whatever it is. Did you see his tweet it was of a shuffleboard game? Were you showing me that, Kevin? Somebody, the Seth guy from the Pittsburgh Tribune, didn't he tweet a shuffleboard table? Was it you that showed me that? What was his point? Like, has anybody heard from him today? Has he come out from underneath the rubble? It was a fun debate yesterday. All I was saying, by the way, is people are trying to end the dude's career. That's why I said, back off. There's no crime against being stupid, because if there was, 98% of people would be in jail anyways. His vote was junk, but that's his right to vote the way that he voted. He didn't even need to have to explain himself as far as I'm concerned, and he didn't. But I'll say this, when I go back to South Florida, I will be applying with the Panthers for status with the Professional Hockey Writers Association, because I'm watching more than the guys that are. Couple things, Jeff. The Stamps fan and John in Edmonton have written in and said, Rod, breaking news, Stampeders public address announcer Dan Carson has passed away. So I'll stop and say condolences to the Stampeder family, Stampeders fans, and most importantly, Dan Carson's family. Great guy, great voice. And if I'm not mistaken, Jeff, the Stamps fan, can you tell me, did Dan not just announce Saturday night's game? Because I was sitting in the crowd going, man, he's got a good voice. He used to sling a lot of manure over at us in Saskatchewan, but that's all part of it. As my friend Eddie Johnson, the CFL great punter, would say, it's all part of it. But Dan, condolences, and I don't know who you would get to take over a job like that. I mean, the fans do eventually move on from this kind of thing, but that's tough. That's real tough. Dan Carson is a great guy. And John also says the NHL and WHL schedules came out yesterday. I very quickly looked at the schedule for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tampa Bay Lightning, because we were looking at that. And Darren, I took the onus. I'm sure you're very pleased to see that I took the onus to say we're having our sports trip. Our second ever RP Show sports trip is going to be to Tampa Bay, and it's going to be October 22nd. That's a Sunday. Atlanta Falcons. Hashtag Rise Up. Right, Ryan O'Radio? We're very big in Atlanta. Falcons at the Buccaneers on the Sunday, the 22nd. The night before, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs at the Tampa Bay Lightning. And the Thursday before that, the Vancouver Canucks at the Tampa Bay Lightning. This should sell out fast. So we're working on putting that trip together. And Bob's your uncle. I'm going to throw a couple more in here before we jump back to the CFL thing. The Toronto Blue Jays will be looking to produce a win and a few runs when they face the visiting San Francisco Giants tonight in the second outing of their three-game interleague series. Last night, the Giants blanked the Jays 3-0 despite being out-hit 8-6 and 0.5 despite playing without several key stars. Canada came within minutes of knocking off Guadalupe in last night's CONCACAF Gold Cup Group D match at BMO Field in Toronto. Instead, Canada had to settle for a 2-2 draw. Now, back to the CFL, which was actually my point 3, and I should point out Toronto Argonauts star linebacker Henoc Muamba is going to be with us coming up in hour 2. The poll question today is, which is Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League? We do it every Wednesday. It's brought to you by Key Auto Group. With the Key Auto Group, most vehicles receive a lifetime engine warranty, guaranteed. Go to keyautogroup.ca/the Key Advantage for eligibility and maintenance requirements. The Key Auto Group, here to take care of you. Your CFL Week 3 games kick off Friday, Edmonton at Ottawa, Saturday, Winnipeg at Montreal, and Sunday, BC at Toronto. Don't at me, don't shoot me. My game of the week is Friday night, Edmonton at Ottawa. But for the longest time, and we have it on our Instagram poll too, it's got 0 votes. I understand it's the toilet bowl. Some might say a friends and family game, but I got a lot of close friends on both sides. Edmonton, Ottawa. I really want to see who's going to win that game. I understand Winnipeg and Montreal is huge, and BC at Toronto, the Brayley Bowl is potentially the battle of the best two teams in the CFL. But for me, the game I'm most interested in is Edmonton, Ottawa, Friday night. You?
BC Toronto. It's the battle for first. I mean, I saw, and I don't know if Kevin's listening right now. I saw the Hughes team had Winnipeg 4th in the power rankings. Okay. And I got an issue with that because I don't think they're the 4th best team in the CFL. They might still be number 1, even though they lost to BC. Because the power rankings are not the standings. There's an argument to have them 2nd, maybe 3rd, but in the standings, it's Toronto, BC. And it's the top team in the West, top team in the East. There's plenty of storylines. I think it's tremendously exciting. And I really can't wait for the game. I can't. It's going to be fun.
Are you going?
I hope so. I haven't confirmed the plans yet, but I'm hoping to. And that's what I really want to be at.
From the cheap seats. What do we have here? From Rhino Radio in Atlanta. Hashtag rise up. Hashtag dirty birds. We're very big in Atlanta. We are Atlanta's Falcon station, I think. As far as you know, we are. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, says all 3 games are great matchups this week in the Canadian Football League. What else do we have here with regarding Jeff the Stamps fan? And was Dan Carson announcing the game the other night? Jeff the Stamps fan says, I'm not sure if he was there Saturday. Rod, I really didn't pay attention. See, Jeff, that's one of at least 100 differences between me and you. I sit there and I soak up all the surroundings. I learned it from my cop friends. You walk into a room, check and see who's where, who's wearing what, where's the exits, who's the threats. I do all that. As a matter of fact, no, I'm not joking. Darren's laughing. I honestly do that. I learned that from police friends. Makes a big difference. I spent at least a half an hour before the game chatting with the CFL's head of security, Rod Buckingham, before the game. We talked all about CFL security and the measures and compared it to the National Football League. He asked me all about Pedersen Recovery, Mental Health and Addiction Service, opening a U.S. office as I have. It's what I do, Jeff. I don't know what you were doing. I really don't know what you were doing, but this is what I was doing. I like Troy in Toronto, says Darren, spoken like a true Torontonian. What's he referring to?
I'm not sure. I kind of roll my eyes. I'm like, what are you talking about? How old's the comment? I'm not sure what I said. So you'll have to jog my memory.
What are you talking about, Troy? That their internet's the best?
Yeah.
Well, by the way, I'm sitting here looking at the feed on the screen. It's magic. Whatever you and the pit crew did there at Game Plus, man, it looks good.
Thank you. We'll always strive to be better.
I'm just going to read this from Jake Hughes from the Hughes podcast, sports podcast. He says, point differential and wins. How can a team that's not lost be lower than a team that was held to 0 touchdowns, Moose? Because there's more to, can I take that one? Because there's more to life than numbers and stats.
Yes.
There's a feel. There's an eyeball test. That's how I feel. Do you want to explain yourself before we break and come back?
Yeah. I simply say power rankings should be determined by who would be favored if the teams met tomorrow.
Yep.
So I haven't looked at the betting lines. I know we haven't played Deal or No Deal, but I will tell you, whoever is favored in that game between Toronto and BC probably should be higher in the power rankings. That's typically who would win today and be favored to win. On any given day, teams can win. But there's a case to be made that BC should be higher than Winnipeg. But that's a one-off for Winnipeg, I believe, that loss.
We've got the Argos Henoc Muamba coming up in hour 2, a sports update coming up after this break, and viewer and audience takeover, and we've kind of already dipped our toe in that. We're live from Ace Casino Airport and Hotel Cleat Calgary Airport on the Game Plus television network across all 10 Canadian provinces and 31 U.S. states. Also podcast WQEE Radio, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Looking to buy a pre-owned vehicle? With the largest selection of quality pre-owned vehicles in the Parkland, you're sure to find it at Key Auto Group. We'll treat you right every time, and it's all just a click away at keyautogroup.ca.
You're a champion.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445 or log on to deervalleygolf.ca.
Hi, everybody. We are back live on the RP Show, episode number 1082 of your favorite sports daytime talk show is live now. It's The View for sports fans. As I was explaining last night, I'm going to jump into a sports update here right now, but I was explaining this last night, Darren, to a very rich guy, who was driving a $650,000 Ferrari at the Ferrari of Alberta unveiling of the 2024, I can't even say the name of it, but she was asking about she's like, you have a talk show. She's from Singapore originally. She goes, what do you talk about? I said, sports. And she's like, what will you be talking about tomorrow? And I said, sports. The NHL draft and some Canadian Football League stuff. The Calgary Surge are home tonight. We'll be talking about going to that game. And I said, do you watch The View? And she's like, yes. And I said, we consider ourselves The View for sports fans. And I said, what's your cable carrier? She said, tell us. I said, yeah, we're on channel 924 every damn day. at 10 a.m. Mountain. And she's like, oh, I'll tune it in. So, yeah, one person at a time. And my point on that, by the way, be patient, everybody. I'll get to all your comments because there's some good ones today. But from the way of a sports update, former captain Ryan Getzlaf is now the player development coordinator for the Anaheim Ducks. Getz served as Anaheim's captain for 12 seasons. He's also the all-time leading scorer in franchise history with 1,019 points and 1,157 games. I can't believe anybody even argued at all when I said this spring that he's the greatest Anaheim Duck of all time. I did that banquet with he and his brother Chris in Penn, Saskatchewan. It ain't even close. Don't even come at me that and there's anybody better in Anaheim Ducks history than Ryan Getzlaf. There ain't. They're saying Korea. They're saying Solani. I just told you why he's the greatest Anaheim Duck ever. And in his new role, Getzlaf will assist Director of Player Development Jim Johnson in preparing prospects in Anaheim's system for a career in pro hockey. Toronto Blue Jays host the Giants in the second game of their three-game interleague series tonight. Jays looking to bounce back from a 3-0 loss last night. Kevin Gausman goes tonight. No, they wasted a 12-strikeout effort from starting pitcher Kevin Gausman last night. Sorry, I wasn't watching. I was at the Ferrari event. This sports update is brought to you by the group The Steadies. New single, Champion, dropped on Friday. Visit thesteadies.ca for more info and stream The Steadies today on Apple Music and Spotify. And we're also brought to you by Landmark Cinemas, in theaters July 21st. Barbie. Barbie lives in Barbie Land. And then a story happens, starring Ryan Gosling, Kate McKinnon, Will Ferrell, and Margot Robbie. So as promised, we aim to please. Jason and Red Deer's apologizing for being 20 minutes behind, but that's okay. Jason writes in, he says, I don't know what the hell the Flames are doing. I thought the issue was the coach. And then why make any moves? Right? And my brother, every day, what's wrong with the Flames? What's wrong with the Flames? Why does everybody want out of the Flames? And I said, can you stand down? I said, it is a highly, highly delicate topic. And to be honest, I thought a lot of people knew what was going on the inside and weren't saying. And I'm starting to realize I don't think too many people know what's going on the inside. When I see Rhett Warner on the Barnburner podcast, our good friend Rhett Stir, the former Flame, the pride of Frontier, Saskatchewan, saying, if it was this bad in the dressing room, why was this team not blown up in December? Now they're starting to point the finger at Brad Treliving, the mess there. And when I look at the case of Toffoli, I believe that he was a Sutter guy. I said this earlier. He was the leading scorer for the Flames last year, a career year. So he thrived under Daryl Sutter, won a Stanley Cup with him in 2014. There are people, believe it or not, who actually like Daryl Sutter. It's not the largest group, but there are some that do. The Flames got a lot of problems. As I said to my brother, I'm not sticking my nose into this. I'm staying out of it. Because quite frankly, if you got on the wrong side of the Calgary Sports Entertainment Corporation, you couldn't do business in this town. You couldn't, because they own all the teams except for the Surge. So I'm not going to get too far into what's wrong with the Calgary Flames. I hope they are. But I'll say it again. If Rhett Warner doesn't know, who the hell knows? The media don't know. They're all just begging Murray Edwards to sell the team, the owner of the team, because that's probably where you would start fresh. Regarding our poll of which is Canada's game of the week in the CFL, and here's the thing, it's always fresh. We have the same question every Wednesday for 6 months during the CFL season, but the games change, so it doesn't get boring. Brought to you by Key Auto Group. And regarding the games, Wayne in Victoria, BC says, actually, now that I think about it, the Winnipeg at Montreal game will solidify Winnipeg's position, or if Montreal wins, people might start wondering how strong they are. Yes, all the games are great, but let's remind ourselves it's July 1st. And I know that it will be July 1st come Saturday's game. Everybody, Darren, wants to get so wrapped up, and I get it. They're all micro-focused. We get micro-focused on even what goes on with this show. We need to back out. We all need to back out and look at it from 35,000 feet and say, yeah, it's big this week, but it's going to be even bigger next week. And then the week after that. And why I think Edmonton at Ottawa Friday night is Canada's game of the week in our Key Auto Group poll is somebody might get fired. The loser of the toilet bowl. So you see where I'm coming from on that.
I do see where you're coming from. And one of those two teams needs a spark. And believe it or not, one of them is going to win on the weekend.
Not necessarily.
I guess. Don't put that in the universe, Rod. Don't put that out there. I mean,
what's the odds of a tie?
I know. Somebody pull it up. But, honestly, that's what's so great, about this league and sports in general is you can make a case for all these games to be great. And that's why we're going to get sucked into watching them all. So it's going to be a fun weekend. And this poll is always interesting every week.
Hot damn, does this show look good on Game Plus Television. I'm looking at it right now. You've done a very good job, Darren, along with the people at Anthem Sports, Cavalli Channeling, and Dupont Media. Can we keep it this way?
It was I'll say there was a lot of people involved, but it was mostly Christian. He did the heavy lifting.
Okay.
So you can give him a pat on the back.
Jeff, the Stamps fan, wants to know if we are on Shaw cable carrier, and we're not, and it annoys me more than you know, because if we went on Shaw cable, we would be in 5 times as many homes, but we ain't. And I dropped the sword on that battle like 3 years ago, dude. And that's how the key to life is: God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I can't affect the channels that Shaw Cable carries. So I've moved on. John writes in and says, that looked like a fun event last night, Rod. I'm very jelly. Go to Instagram right now, everybody, and follow my own personal at Rod Pedersen Official or the Rod Pedersen Show. There's 2 different accounts there. And I chronicled on there our events at the Ferrari of Alberta 2024 unveiling event. And the Piro sang. That's what it was, the 2024 Piro sang. And I'm not going to tell you who the rich guy was that I was with, because he was invited there, as was I, and I don't want to pee on anybody's parade. But it was the first ever 4-door Ferrari, Darren. It's not a station wagon. And as he said, when they rolled it up, this guy, very big money and a really cool guy. And he's like, if you want a 4x4, buy a Jeep. It's a Ferrari. And I'm like,
yeah,
right?
Ferrari's not supposed to make a sedan. They don't make a sedan. Okay.
This was an SUV.
Yeah, no.
And I was
like, no 4 doors.
No, but that's what they did. And again, who the hell am I? I'm just a hayseed plowboy. That hasn't. I'll just shut up and sit here in the back and sip my Arnold Palmers.
Sure.
Because that's what I was having.
Underrated, by the way, and how delicious they are.
John Ohm is writing in with technical. John, you just sit back and enjoy the show. We don't need any technical input, but thank you. We'll be back with Audience Takeover. Henoc Muamba of the Argos coming up in hour 2. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live, WQEE Radio, podcast, and streaming.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope.
Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445 or log on to deervalleygolf.ca.
Looking to buy a pre-owned vehicle? With the largest selection of quality pre-owned vehicles in the Parkland, you're sure to find it at Key Auto Group. We'll treat you right every time, and it's all just a click away at keyautogroup.ca.
All right, we are back live, everybody, at Ace Casino Airport and Hotel Clique, Calgary Airport, here on Game Plus Television and WQEE Radio. And, yeah, don't write me about your technical questions, okay? Unless you want to see me explode on air. I'm not the tech guy, so DM Moose or whomever else, I'm not the tech guy. And another thing, by the way, not to preach, but can you, if you don't know what you're talking about, just shut up. That would be a great start, because Daryl Slade, who's a legendary stats man, actually he is the stats man for the Calgary Stampeders, has tweeted this with a photo of Dan Carson. It's sad to hear of the sudden passing of Dan Carson, Calgary Stampeders public address announcer for over 30 years. He just worked the Stampeders game against Saskatchewan on Saturday. He also worked for more than 3 decades on air at Country 105 and 660 News. I know it. And people are like, no, he retired last September. If you weren't there, shut up. I was there. I know Dan's voice. Okay, I've only worked with him for 20 years. I remember that criticism a couple of years ago. Rod only talks about things he knows about. He doesn't talk about things he doesn't know. Yeah, well, hallelujah. Where would we be in society if people would just talk about what they knew about instead of talking out their ass? I'm sick of that. Ryan in New York State writes in and says, I got the RP show on one tab and checking out the Puro Sang on another. That car looks fire. I feel like more people want to talk about the Ferrari event last night than anything with sports at all. John Ohm in Winnipeg says, any billionaires there last night, Rod? How many would you say, Kev? 10. Yeah, everybody but us. The one guy that I was referring to, and I'm not going to name him because he probably wouldn't be happy with me talking about him on the air today, but he rolls in looking like $1 billion, not $1 million. He's got his wife with him. She's the one from Singapore. They roll in, and then he makes a beeline. I said to Kevin, the medium, he's with me. I said, the richest guy here is wearing shorts. He's the only guy in shorts here. And he's got a cotton collared summer shirt. Like, he looked great, but he wasn't in a tuxedo like the guy that, came in a rusted out minivan that's all dressed up. Here's the richest guy in the place wearing wrinkled board shorts. And there's more. He goes, I said, what do you like about your Ferrari? He goes, everything. And I said, well, what else do you have? He goes, I got an Aston Martin. He goes, I just bought a Jeep Rubicon. It's all orange. I'm like, how do we meet these people? How do we get into these conversations?
But now you're talking your language. Now he's talking your language.
Oh, well, I said, I'm a Jeep guy. I'm a Jeep guy. He goes, I'm a Jeep guy too. I just bought a Rubicon.
You talk about the shorts. He's a guy with nothing to prove.
He doesn't have not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. And then Kevin, the medium, says to me, "You're racial profiling." That became a big. There was a bunch of guys that looked like basketball players standing in the corner, and I'm like, "Those look like basketball players." Kevin's like, "That's racial profiling." No, it's the truth. The rich guy agreed with me. They look like basketball players, man. Well, how's that stereotyping and profiling? We got to back off with this. How do you and I even get along?
How about a steaming cup of coffee? That looks hot. How do you know it's hot? Did you touch it?
They look like basketball players. What? That's racist. How? I'm taking a little far.
Nobody's ever looked at me and said I look like a basketball player. Let's just put it that way.
This is what I get. Moose, you'd have fit in real good with the guy in the cotton shirt. Everybody says to me, "Where's Dupont get his money?" I'm like, I don't know. That's what I get all the time.
If only they knew.
Yeah. We'll be back with hour 2. And the Argos, Henoc Muamba is going to be with us as well. On Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio Podcast, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Looking to buy a pre-owned vehicle? With the largest selection of quality pre-owned vehicles in the Parkland, you're sure to find it at Key Auto Group. We'll treat you right every time, and it's all just a click away at keyautogroup.ca.
You're a champion.
Capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445 or log on to deervalleygolf.ca.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show's Hour 2, coming at you live from Ace Casino Airport, Calgary, and Hotel Clique, Calgary Airport. One half of the show out here in Western Canada. The other half of the show out in Eastern Canada. Darren Dupont joining us from the Game Plus studios in downtown Toronto. As expected, today's show has been not only fun, it's been more fun than I actually thought it would be. And just to recap, what we're talking about is the NHL Draft Round 1. Tonight, Connor Bedard going number 1, and then all the intrigue going from picks 2 through 15, I would say. Good luck to all the players. Very much looking forward to it. It looks like I'll be hosting an NHL draft watch party tonight in a phone booth. Do they still have phone booths, Darren? Do they still have them?
I don't know. I haven't seen one.
Okay. I'm thinking as it stands right now, I will be watching the draft from the Tonic Kitchen and Bar at Hotel Clique, Calgary Airport. That's where I'll be. But I will say this. We've had Calgary area establishments call us up about hosting and partnering for the Stamps Future Watch Parties. So that's cool. And on the CFL vein, Canada's Game of the Week is our poll question for Key Auto Group. And I'll just tell you right now, running away with it is Sunday's Brayley Bowl. The BC Lions at the Toronto Argonauts. They got 62% of the vote. As a matter of fact, they called it up right now. I'll tell you more about Key Auto Group later. No, it's 72% of the vote voting for BC at Toronto Sunday in week 4 of the CFL. 20% voting for Bombers at Montreal, and only 8% voting for Edmonton at Ottawa. But put me in the 8% because I'm very interested to see who wins the toilet bowl, who gets flushed in the toilet bowl, Edmonton at Ottawa. So back now to pick up on the fun and the frivolity with Moose, and I'll tell you that later on this hour, we'll be joined by Henoc Muamba of the Toronto Argonauts in our weekly CFLPA Player Spotlight segment. We were talking about the Ferrari party last night. That's what everybody wants to talk. I knew last night I went to the Ferrari of Alberta unveiling of the 2024 Puro Sang, Ferrari's first ever four-door. If you can afford it, go buy it. How about that? But I was saying to Kevin, the medium, our sales guy, Moose, I said, oh, we are getting an infinite amount of show prep material for tomorrow here tonight. And for those that just tuned in for Hour 2 or just listening to Hour 2 podcast only, there was like the richest guy in the place, for whatever reason, thought it would be a good idea to come join us at our table with his lovely wife. And not only did they join us, we hung out all evening. And before they came and joined us, I said to Kevin, those must be basketball players over there. And Kevin says, that's stereotyping. That's racial profiling. And I'm like, what? So everybody's writing in and saying they agree with me. Troy in Toronto says, I think most people would assume or ask tall guys they see or meet if they play ball. It's a reasonable question. I ask tall people that all the time. I'm one of those people, he says, which the thing is, the rich guy's wife goes, I wonder if those are basketball players. You don't see people like that in Calgary. And I'm like, I just asked that. And he accused me of racial profiling. So that was part of our discussion last night, which incidentally moves.
Come on, Kev. Are you going to get after her?
Jump in on this one. Why? You don't want it because she's rich? So he was so cool. And I wanted to take a picture of him, but then I thought that would be so creepy. I have my mental snapshots, and I'll just have to relay my stories to you. But imagine, Darren, a 50-year-old Mike McCullough.
Oh.
Hall of Fame Saskatchewan Roughriders middle linebacker out of Kingston, Ontario. He looked, I thought I was talking to Mike McCullough. He had the same sarcasm, the same dry wit, frankly, the same build. He was a big guy. I said, you're clearly an athletic guy. And I wasn't just kissing his ass. Jason in Red Deer writes in, he says, I just got to Rod ranting about people not knowing what they're talking about. I love it, Rod. An NHL scout texted me, by the way. I don't know if you're in on this or not. In this group text, NHL scout texted me, said, you're great. If you don't know what you're talking about, shut up. I love it. Well, that goes back to the Dan Carson passing away story here. And by the way, this wasn't about you, the Stamps fan. He goes, I said, didn't he just announce Saturday's game, Dan Carson? I was there. And I distinctly remember thinking, God, I respect that guy. He's got such a great voice. He's been doing this for so long. He is, in a lot of ways, Stampeders football.
Yeah.
And he's passed away. Sounds like suddenly. I don't know enough about it. But Jeff goes, I was there too. Most fans don't notice these things. Makes sense. Rod would. It's his purview. What did I say earlier? I'm paying attention to where all the fire exits are. Who's the announcer? What's the temperature? It was 24 degrees Celsius with a 24K wind coming out of the southeast. I pay attention to this stuff. I think that's why I get so triggered, Darren. I'm realizing when people say Rod doesn't know anything, I know 1,000 times more than you. That triggers me. So when people are going to sit here and try and tell me that Dan Carson retired last September, wasn't calling the game, I'm like, you weren't even there. I'm getting tired of it.
The happier things.
The NHL draft, yes. Regarding where does Dupont get his money, WQEE Radio, Ryan O'Reilly, have you seen his comment? He writes it and says, Top Gun, worked for it. That's right. I think somebody accused you of being a trust fund kid. I'm like, nope, pretty sure not.
Yeah, pretty sure not.
Unless your dad, who was a heavy-duty equipment mechanic for his whole entire career, had some secret Swiss bank fund that you're now drawing from to finance the Rod Pedersen show.
Yeah, he did that for fun because he was part of the Dupont family of wealthy people. He did it for fun, yeah.
Right. Darren's the heir to the wrenches thrown.
Yeah, that's what I get for an inheritance. That's right.
The poll question, by the way, is brought to you by Key Auto Group. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed with your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. Let's get it back on track. I just wanted to mention the sponsor read here. It's very clear that BC at Toronto is the game of the week, but well, we're going to be watching them all, or at least I will be. Nelson, the VP of Sim Events, says, by the way, Dupes is living on Ted Lasso and Saturday Night Live royalties. How about that? Colin in Ottawa says, does old McMahon even have emergency exits? The old stadium was designed and built before they sought of such things. Let's not talk about McMahon Stadium. We talked about it on Monday. I'm sorry that I brought it up. It was on Monday that we did. We have not spent nearly enough time on the Progressive Insurance text line, Darren, 902-518-3033. Let's jump in there. Nick Gresh is watching in Rothsay, New Brunswick. I hope I've said that right. Rothsay, New Brunswick on Game Plus television right now. Regarding the Pittsburgh voter, Seth Roethlisberger, he says the Pittsburgh voter is obviously a Crosby fan and can't handle that McDavid now has the title of best player and MVP. The NHL players actually voted Crosby as best all-around player. It's a bit like that Graf fan stabbing Selish. This voter is delusional at best. This is from Nick in New Brunswick. As asinine as that sounds, Serena said the exact same thing. The Golden Girl. She said the exact same thing. She's like, those people in Pittsburgh can't get over their hate of Edmonton and Gretzky being better than Lemieux. And the thing is why I think we get along so well, you've been around Serena, and I just let her go off. Do I think that this guy's mad about Lemieux and Gretzky and that? No. I think this guy is one of the 100 plus American journalists that go to the games and don't even watch what goes on the ice. That's what I think. He completely flubbed up his ballot. I don't think he intentionally spoiled it. And by the way, Darren, yesterday, the life lesson through all of this, I don't know, you probably didn't think about this the rest of the day, but I did. I repeated it to a few people. What a perfect illustration of how the world has changed. This poor bastard almost lost his career and still might. Seth Rothenberg, or whatever the hell his name is. We had to cut it off at the pass. I see Derek Van Diest. You know Derek, don't you? You're buddies with Daniel Nugent Bowman, but Derek, right. Who's he with now? Is he with still Edmonton Sun or Edmonton Oilers? Whatever it is. Yeah. He's an Edmonton sports scribe, and he had to come out and just say, would you back off on this guy? Which is the exact same thing that I said. I don't want to repeat yesterday's show, but being stupid ain't a crime. If it was, more than half the population would be in jail already. I don't think this guy was making any statement whatsoever with his vote that was absolutely asinine. Like Cam Cole, you've heard me reference Cam Cole a few times. Hall of Fame, legendary writer, CFL and NHL. He actually responded to our Twitter feed and said, no, he shouldn't lose his vote forever and have it rescinded, but a public flogging might be in order. And actually, Serena said, oh, it's 11:11 Mountain, 1:11 Eastern. She said, yeah. Serena said, because she was on yesterday discussing this, she's like, dang it, if I could go back, I would have said no, he shouldn't be fired, but he should be examined. Ba-dum-bum. So I'll pass it along 24 hours later. Do you think what this guy's saying, number one, I've heard everything, Darren. He's just trying to get attention. Why would you want attention for that? For being an idiot? Why would you want that? You know, or the Edmonton-Pittsburgh rivalry over Lemieux Gretzky. Do you buy any of this?
No, because where was Crosby in the vote? I think if that was the case, you'd give Crosby the first place vote, right? Like, that's Pasternak got the first place vote. Crosby, I don't even think was in the conversation in terms of his voting ballot in the top 5 he had. So, no, I don't buy that. Maybe a little bit of like, look at, nobody's talking about David Pasternak and the great season he had on this great Boston team that was setting records for the best regular season ever. This guy should be the MVP. So maybe that's the statement you're making, that, hey, we need to talk about David Pasternak. But you know what? Didn't accomplish that either, because nobody's sitting here today talking about David Pasternak's one first place vote. They're talking about McDavid being 5th. At least put McDavid 2nd. Anyways.
Okay. This is why this show is so much fun. I'll be honest. There's a million stuffy guys and gals out there that are doing talk shows that they can be serious and talk about serious stuff. I don't want to be. I listen to it and go, this is boring. And it's in daytime radio and television parts. I don't want to be boring, man. You can say whatever you want, but nobody ever going to say I'm boring. So we're having fun here. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says maybe he was the class clown and likes negative attention. Jeff, I think you're speaking about yourself. From Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg, he says maybe some goons can rough him up and everyone can just call it a day. I know you're joking. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg is not advocating for Seth from Pittsburgh getting roughed up and given the bumps on the playground. I don't think. Shaking some sense into people does work, but not for everybody. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, says, and I quote, I'll publicly apologize for triggering Rod with the Dan Carson comment. I misread a thread on a Stamps Facebook post. He's talking about me, but it's too kind to call a spade a spade. That's all. It was an honest mistake by you, Nelson. And obviously, I'm not going to call you out, but there are just so many people rushing. Like I see Clark yesterday going, this is the best time of year in hockey. He loves the chaos. And that's good for you. I don't. Because this business has become a joke. It has. Now go back to yesterday for a second when you got Pierre LeBrun having to say on SportsCenter, and did you see the clip? He's like looking right into the camera. Elias Lindholm did not tell the Flames he's not going to sign a long-term extension. That needs to be clarified. Well, Frank Saravelli said he did. And Frank's been on this show. I got nothing against Frank, but I've got screenshotted tweets of Frank that he said a year ago that Matthew Tkachuk's going to resign in Calgary. So it was my decision to just stand back and go, I can't. And that's also cool that Clark wants to jump into it head first. I don't think this is the best time of the hockey season. Call me crazy. I think the best time is when they're actually playing games. But if you love all the Facebook, if you love all the fake news, then that's cool too. But I don't. Patrolman Pete says, you read me right, Rod. I was only kidding. Because I know some Italians. And I don't want to name them. But you know what they do? And they've done it. They'll go grab a guy, roll up to him with a van, jump out, throw a blanket over him, throw him into the back of the van, take him out of town, and give him the business. Then come back into town and kick him out of the back of the van, and nobody even knows who they were. And that's kind of what I think Patrolman Pete might have been advocating for. And I'm saying, let's not do that with Seth from Pittsburgh. He's been subject to public humiliation enough. He's not going to be able to walk into a media room without everybody snickering. That's the guy. That's
Seth
the guy.
Rohrabaugh.
Yeah, whatever. Seth Roethlisberger. I definitely don't think that he was doing it for attention. We'll be back. We'll talk a little bit more about Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League, the NHL draft tonight. We're not going to do our own mock draft, but I do want to talk about tonight's draft because it's a very big day. And as of today, Connor Bedard will become a former Regina Pat. Did you enjoy his time? Because I enjoyed every single second of it, but it did go over in a blink. We're live from Ace Casino Airport, Hotel Cleat, Calgary Airport on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio. Also a podcast and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445 or log on to deervalleygolf.ca.
Looking to buy a pre-owned vehicle? With the largest selection of quality pre-owned vehicles in the Parkland, you're sure to find it at Key Auto Group. We'll treat you right every time, and it's all just a click away at keyautogroup.ca.
All right. Listen up. We're back live from Ace Airport Casino and Hotel Cleat, Calgary Airport. Let's get the Progressive Insurance text line going, okay? It's been a little quiet today other than the Pittsburgh voter comments. 902-518-3033. I'd love to know your predictions on what you think's going to happen tonight in round 1 of the NHL draft after Connor Bedard goes number 1 overall, which I'll get to more of in a moment in the sports update. As a matter of fact, I'll jump in that right now. The Chicago Blackhawks are expected to select Regina Pats forward Connor Bedard with the number 1 pick in tonight's NHL draft. The 17-year-old was named the CHL Player of the Year after scoring 71 goals, 72 assists in 57 games last season. The Montreal Canadiens have the top pick among Canadian clubs at number 5. Sacramento Kings assistant coach Jordy Fernandez is the new head coach of the Canadian national men's basketball team. He replaces Nick Nurse, who stepped away from the job after being hired by the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Toronto Blue Jays host the San Francisco Giants in the second game of their 3-game interleague series at Rogers Center tonight. The Jays will be looking to bounce back from a 3-0 loss in last night's series opener. This sports update's brought to you by the Steadies. Their new single, Champion, dropped on Friday, and I appreciate all those of you that have downloaded it. Visit thesteadies.ca for more info and stream The Steadies today on Apple Music and Spotify. And also, we're brought to you by Landmark Cinemas, in theaters July 12th. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. In Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Tom Cruise plays Ethan Hunt, and his IMF team embark on their most dangerous mission yet. And while we're at it, if we bring Moose in, he is at the Game Plus Studios in downtown Toronto on the Sports on Tap sports schedule tonight. I've got written down, obviously, NHL, the draft, Canadian Elite Basketball League. Here tonight, Canada Olympic Park, Calgary Surge, home to the Scarborough Stars, the Shooting Stars. The Saskatchewan Rattlers are at Montreal, taking on the Alliance. And as mentioned, the Blue Jays are home to the San Francisco Giants tonight. Yeah, so Craig Smith, our director of scouting, writes in, you don't necessarily have to write the text line. You can write it in the streaming chat. He goes, I'm interested to see where Michkov goes. So, frankly, folks, Matvei Michkov and Connor Bedard. Darren, if I'm wrong, correct me. And you're not quite old enough really to remember the Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf thing, but it's close to that. Like, because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we haven't been able to watch Michkov versus Connor Bedard because Russia's been kicked out of international tournaments for the last 2 years. Can you imagine if we'd been able to see those two go head-to-head against each other at the World Juniors the last 2 years? Oh, my goodness. The only time we saw them was at the World Under-18s in Texas, and they were pretty darn even. And so I'm sitting here watching the mock drafts, as I mentioned. Bobby Margarita, Bob McKenzie's draft. He's got Anaheim taking Fantilli, the Canadian forward, at number 2. So does Craig Button. So I think they're sitting there going, if you got the number 2 overall pick and you got a surefire player that's going to help you, if not right away, definitely pretty soon, take him rather than a flyer on Michkov. But if you take him high, which some teams might, you might have a player as good as Bedard. That's the conundrum.
That is the conundrum. You know, this is Ovechkin Crosby, right? This is that. This is going to be potentially that situation. And you're right. Like, Michkov was right there with Bedard whenever they played against each other. And so it's an issue because we go back to this word patience, right? Can you be patient and wait 3 to 4 years to get him, or 2 to 3 years, or however long? It might take 3 to 4 years to get Michkov into the NHL. And these GMs potentially could be thinking, well, we need to win now. We have pressure to win in the next 2 years. And if we don't, I'm not going to be here. So I need to draft players who I can get in the lineup and who can help me win now. But for a franchise, like if I'm an owner, I might be saying draft this kid because I'm worried about years 4 through 24, right? Like, that's what we're talking about, right? A 15 or 10, 15, 20-year career that you got to wait 3 or 4 years to start. I mean, if he's that good, it's well worth the wait.
For sure. So the draft order: 1, Chicago; 2, Anaheim; 3, Columbus; 4, San Jose; 5, Montreal; 6 Arizona, 7 Philadelphia. You're going to get great players. And another NHL scout told me that they had interviewed these scouts. They're dirty dogs, you know. They interviewed Zach Benson one-on-one. This is what the people don't understand. Any jackwagon can sit and watch the players on the ice and tell you who's better than who. It ain't hard. Where the real work is beating the bushes, finding out the character of the kids, the family background of the kids. How are they at school? How do they treat the trainers? How do they treat the bus drivers? That's where the real scouting goes. And I had a scout tell me that they were in Winnipeg interviewing Zach Benson. Tell me what you think about this. And they said, do you think Bedard's better than you? He wouldn't answer it. Like, is that not kind of a dick move?
A tough
like they're
question.
Trying to make him uncomfortable.
Well, it's a tough question because it's like you want me to be confident in myself to say I'm the best player in this draft. But you also know that it's asinine to think you're better than Connor Bedard. So what do you do?
Good. He's pretty good, Moose.
He's a really good player. Really good player. And honestly, right, you know, the projections from these mock drafts are saying anywhere from the top 10 to the top 15, right? I don't see too many mock drafts with Benson falling outside of the top 15 picks. You got to be really good to be inside those top 15 draft prospects in the National Hockey League. But I mean, Bedard is Bedard. It's tough. Like, how do you have that conversation about, is this kid really better than Connor Bedard? I don't think anybody in the draft's better than Connor Bedard.
No, but again, the last 2 years we've been robbed of watching them play against each other. So who really knows? Couple things. Craig Smith, our director of scouting, says he's under contract, Michkov, till 2026. Yes, in Russia, but Nathan Rourke was under contract in the Canadian Football League for this year. As Neil McAvoy told us on this show, if the NFL wants Nathan Rourke, they're going to get him. I kind of feel like if the NHL wants to get Matvei Michkov, they're going to get him. Russia or otherwise. Jordan Ewart, thanks for pointing out. Timo Meier has signed an extension with the New Jersey Devils, 8 years, $70.4 million. Timo Meier, the top prize at last year's NHL trade deadline. Oh, people being cute.
What?
Okay, here's my life. Mike Hogan, the voice of the Argos. We've been longtime friends for a long time, obviously. Long time for a long time. I texted Hoagie, the voice of the Argos. I said, hey, happy bye week, Hoagie. This is exactly what I wrote. Any tidbits I can throw into your Henoc interview this hour? Thanks. He wrote me back. I'm interviewing Henoc this hour? It's a typo. Smart Alec.
But that's how that I'm not going to say Hogan, but that's like a broadcaster thing, or like somebody will jump on the wording of what you said. Oh, and point it out in a fun way like that. And it's like, that's not fun. You know what I meant.
Well, I just said typo. They wonder why I drank. Call yourself a friend. Interesting. Well, I'm glad I didn't say what team it was that asked Zach Benson that. There's been some interesting responses from Patrolman Pete. He says that question to Benson was pointless, and there's no way he could answer it without looking bad. He did the right thing keeping silent. I know, right? But that's the point. That's probably what the team was looking for. It's like they want to make you uncomfortable. Do you understand this stuff? People, why do I say this? Because people don't understand what they're trying to do. The team's not a bunch of jerks. They're trying to see how he responds. Wayne in Victoria, BC says that's a very unfair question for a young player. If he says yes, he's arrogant. If he says no, he's not confident enough. So he sat there and smiled. That's Zach Benson. We've had him on this show. He is all-world top 10 NHL talent. And if you knew he was that smart and that classy and he worked that hard because he was killing penalties at 16 and doing a fantastic job of it, and on the power play, I'd be scooting him up to top 5. And that's what I've seen with my own eyes. And that's why with the analytics, they'll never get it. Why do I talk about it here? They'll never get it.
I know. They won't, but again, I come back to the same thing. It's not one or the other. It's when you can use both, right? And there's a time and a place to use the analytics. There's a time and a place to use common sense and, make your own judgment. That's why we're here as humans, right? To have that human ability to make decisions. But yeah, they're never going to get it. I'm with you.
The fans aren't going to get it. And unfortunately, a lot of the media is never going to get it. Kevin the Medium says common sense isn't common anymore, Moose. By the way, Kevin the Media is coming up in the overtime segment. From JJSA writes in and says, hey, guys, have I missed CFL talk for the day? No, not really. In the next segment, we've got Henoc Muamba coming up in our weekly CFLPA Player Spotlight. And Hoagie has written me back with a couple things about Henoc that I could pass along. If you have questions for Henoc Muamba, star middle linebacker, Toronto Argonauts fame, NFL linebacker with the Indianapolis Colts, let me know. Patrolman Pete says, by the way, well, then it sounds like Benson passed the test with flying colors. To be honest, last weekend, just to give you an idea, I went to Kevin's spiritual fair, and I didn't even tell you this. I had my, a psychic, I guess, a tarot card reader, read me whatever the hell she thought she did for a living, and she was awful. Like, I wanted to reach across the table and strangle her. And no, I'm not joking. And afterwards, Kevin's like, yeah, it is what it is. I don't want to say too much. They wouldn't want to criticize anybody else in their industry, just like I don't want to criticize anybody else in my industry, not by name anyways. But she had no idea what the hell she was talking about. And she was pushing my buttons. That's what the NHL scouts do with the players. They push their buttons in these interviews. They try to make them uncomfortable. They try to see how they'll react. Difference is, I was paying this chick $80 for an hour to piss me off. Right? Do you want me to stop? Yeah, okay. She upset me. JJSA writes in and says, excellent. I'm here for the CFL, CPL, and CEBL. Okay. Tonight, I'm going to the CEBL game. Scarborough Shooting Stars in town against the Calgary Surge. I was with the president of the Surge last night, Jason Ribeiro, at our Ferrari party, and it was big fun. And the last game at Winsport was sold out. Tonight will probably be the same, I would think, although that was a Father's Day Sunday. Okay, Moose, the questions are coming in for Henoc. I will let you go. Anything you got going on in a Toronto day, Johnny Toronto?
Well, I was going to tell. No, I
What?
got a little homework to do, but I was going to say the Scarborough Shooting Stars, that might be a game I need to get to at some point here in town. And it made me think of Rod Black because he's calling their games.
Yep.
The Scarborough Shooting Stars. And maybe we got to get old Blackie back on the show here before long.
Yeah. I've seen his highlights on TSN. He's doing a great job calling the games. All right, Moose. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay. We will be right back with Henoc Muamba, CFL great, NFL alum. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube, live, podcast form, and WQEE Radio, the key.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Looking to buy a pre-owned vehicle? With the largest selection of quality pre-owned vehicles in the Parkland, you're sure to find it at Key Auto Group. We'll treat you right every time, and it's all just a click away at keyautogroup.ca.
You're a champion.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445 or log on to deervalleygolf.ca.
Okay, welcome back, everybody, to the RP Show. Coming at you live from Ace Airport Casino, Calgary, and Hotel Clique, Calgary Airport. And Darren is producing this show. It's a Dupont media production along with Cavelli Channeling and Game Plus Television. Every Wednesday, we're going to do the Canadian Football League Players Association Player Spotlight. This week, it's to be Henoc Muamba. We got him of the Toronto Argonauts. Love it. Darren's just logging in right now. He is. So you hang on, okay, Kevin the Medium? We do have Henoc joining us. I'm in tandem and concert with the Toronto Argonauts and our viewers. We have questions for Henoc. You let me know, Darren. He's just in the middle. I'm not even going to tell the magic of the world how we're doing this. But for those that don't know, Henoc played with the Blue Bombers 2011 2013, #1 overall pick in the CFL draft in 2011. Indy Colts for 2 seasons, then the Montreal Alouettes, then the Dallas Cowboys. America's team. 2 seasons with Canada's team, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 2016 and 17. That's where I got to know him. Then with the Alouettes, 2018 to 20. And now with the Toronto Argonauts, 2021 to present. And it looks like we got him, and he is looking fresh. Moose, you tell me if we got Henoc Muamba with us on this bye week. And he is on the 6-game injured list the Argos have just pointed out to me. So, Darren, you tell me when we're live, because I can't honestly see Henoc. He's working on it. And what up?
1 second.
Henoc, bear with me. He's still smiling. He can hear us wherever he is. It's the Canadian Football League Players Association Spotlight, and we got him. Henoc Muamba, there he is on a bye week with the best team in the CFL, we're told. Henoc, how's it going, man? Welcome to the show.
Got to turn his mic on.
Turn your mic. Can you turn your mic on? You're muted, Henoc. We are in one of those meetings.
There we go.
Okay, Let's do it all over again, man. How's the bye week treating you, Henoc?
It's going well. It's going well, Rod. We just coming off of a win here, and we're looking to play a good game next week.
Okay, so I talked to your radio guy, Hoagie. I said, what do I need to ask Henoc about? And he's like, well, he's on the 6th game right now. Let's start there, Henoc. You guys have potentially the best team in the CFL, and for the moment, you're not out there with them. How tough is that for you? Because you've been traditionally a dang durable player.
That's right. No, I mean, it's tough. Obviously, you want to be out there with your brothers, but this is a group of guys that I've been around for a while now, and I have a lot of confidence for, man. It's a weird kind of stage in my career where I enjoy cheering for my teammates. I have a legitimate relationship with the guys that are on the field, and whatever happens on the field, when they make a play, I feel like I make a play, Rod, and so I'm excited for the guys. I'm excited for the coaches. It's an exciting time in Argo land.
Well, it looks like we got you on the golf course. I'm not going to keep it too long. I could talk to you for hours, as you know, but with you saying this new stage of your life, does that mean it's an eye towards maybe coaching post-career or media? Because I think you're enjoying the media thing.
I definitely am enjoying the media thing, but you know what? I'm going to keep my options open when the time comes, Rod, and I'm definitely closer to the end than the beginning. So, but I'm excited. I'm excited about what's to come, what's next. But for the main time, for the time being, I'm enjoying the moment. I'm enjoying my teammates, and I'm enjoying, the time that I'm having with, my team.
Well, it's a Hall of Fame career already, and it's going to end on a high no matter what. And I should mention, of all the things I read off your resume before, he was also the Gord Barwell Award winner. I was in the room, Athletes in Action 2017 in Ottawa, CFL's Man of the Year. This is the kind of guy we're talking about, Henoc Muamba. But the CFLPA said to me, ask him what it meant to win a Grey Cup for his hometown Toronto Argonauts.
Ooh, man, listen. Rod, I've enjoyed literally every single province, every single team that I've played for. I still have friends to this day. Coaches, players that, I've played with, I'm still close to this day. But it was definitely special to be able to come back home in Toronto. The circumstances, a lot of people don't realize or don't know, it wasn't really by choice, that I made the decision to just come here back to Toronto. I was in Montreal, and I lost my mother-in-law, and, my family was growing. My wife was pregnant with our second, so there was a lot going on at the time. And, Toronto was just the best place for me to be at. And to be able to come home and to be in Toronto. And at the time, Rod, to be honest, to be transparent with you, I was even already considering retirement. Just because, like I said, it was a difficult time in my life at the time. And so to be able to come back, contemplate retirement, and come back and be energized and meet, new teammates, and obviously be a part of a team that, wants to be great and thrives to be great. So to be able to win the Grey Cup the way that we did and have the season that we had and kind of just rally together, it was amazing. Rod, the thing is, I've always dreamt of being a Grey Cup champion, but the only thing that I ever dreamt about was just to contribute, just to be a part of it, and to be a part of it the way that it happened. I mean, you can't write it any better way.
No, well, most images of a Grey Cup, it's usually the quarterback on the stage with the trophy. With the Argos last year, it was you and the trophy. That's my image at Mosaic Stadium, and you were the MVP of the game. You're the most outstanding Canadian of the game. Won it, as we said. He's a 3-time CFL East All-Star, President's Trophy winner in 2010. But it is the CFLPA spotlight, and I need to ask you, why was it important to you to be a player rep in the CFLPA?
It's a great question. It's a great question, Rod, because look, let's go there. So you told me that you remember me and the trophies, but it was me crying in the trophies, right? And the reason why I was crying was I reminisced and I remembered, my whole journey and the people that played a role in my journey from the beginning, the coaching staff. My friends that helped me along the way. So I didn't get to, getting those trophies alone. I had amazing people around me. Talk about my family. My wife was, extremely supportive. The people around me is what mattered the most to me, which is what really brought me to my knees, especially when my daughter ran on stage. But I said all that just to say, Rod, joining the CFLPA I was thinking about everybody else. I was thinking about the rest of the members. I was thinking about how I can have an impact on the league. Really, I always wanted to join the CFL. My earlier days was my thought process had always been, hey, I want to leave the game better than I found it. And, as I continue to play on, I would do different things, whether it was in the community or not and whatnot. But I remember, speaking to a few guys on the PA already. They were the ones who encouraged me, and they said, hey, if you really want to leave a mark, this is where you're going to have to do it. And so I kind of took a leap of faith, and, I've enjoyed every single step of the way, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Well, you've literally done it all. There's not a whole lot left to prove other than having a really good next golf shot. It looks like you're up. So, Henoc, I'll let you go. Continued success, and I look forward to seeing you out on a CFL field this summer.
Rod, I'm actually at the Joe Carter Classic, which is an amazing golf tournament.
Stop!
Money, yes, that's right. And my team here, I'm with some guys from Saskatoon, man.
Say hey. Say hey for me. Touch them all, Joe. Oh my God.
Touch them all, Joe.
Thanks, Henoc. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Rod.
The great Henoc Muamba of the Toronto Argonauts on our weekly CFLPA Player Spotlight. We'll be right back with Overtime in a moment. We're live from Ace Casino Airport and Hotel Clique Calgary Airport on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445 or log on to deervalleygolf.ca.
Looking to buy a pre-owned vehicle? With the largest selection of quality pre-owned vehicles in the Parkland, you're sure to find it at Key Auto Group. We'll treat you right every time, and it's all just a click away at keyautogroup.ca.
Okay, everybody, we're back live for overtime here at Ace Casino Sports Bar right over my shoulder. And now we're bringing him in. We teased him last segment, Kevin the Medium, our sales coordinator. But I'll be honest with you, Kev, the CFLPA Player Spotlight was your idea. You've done all the legwork. It's all your baby.
Can you get any cooler than that interview?
No.
That was just something else.
No. And so I'll give you credit, by the way, for that. But from our audience, Craig Campbell checking in from the Hockey Hall of Fame. He says, always a great show when an Argonaut is on. Wayne in BC says, Henoc Muamba, what a great human being. He's very humble and a great interview. Well done, Rod and crew. I'm just sitting here in front of Kevin did it all. Darren produced it. It was exciting.
It was a good interview. I liked it.
Yeah. It's and again to the CFLPA for making their players available. The Argos as well. And guys, I apologize. The questions have come in late. We've got to get Henoc on again, and I don't think that'll be a problem to do.
No.
We'll get him again. For instance, Colin in Ottawa says, does Pinball Clemens make pregame speeches regularly, or is that only for the big games? That's a good question. I apologize, Colin. I didn't get to it. Ryan in New York State says, nice shades, Henoc, looking every bit like Hitman Bret Hart.
Wow. Except they weren't pink.
Yeah. Patrolman Peter Winnipeg says, I don't have any questions for Henoc, but I loved him as a Blue Bomber. Amazing athlete, top-notch character. His parents certainly raised him right. Oh, he's such a great guy. And by the way, Henoc and I, shameless plug, are represented by the same Speakers Bureau, EMJ Marketing. So if you want us to come speak at your event, we'd be more than happy to do it. And Dan in Saskatoon says, Rod, Henoc has some great stories about Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys from his time with that team. I didn't get to these.
Can you tell those stories on the air?
Well, no, he wanted me to ask him.
Yes.
And I didn't because it was a little... People don't understand what's going on here. When I say it's a Dupont Media Cavelli channeling production, it's because we are producing the show amongst the 3-4 of us, because Jake's in it, your son.
Yes.
So we started slowly not having any guests this week via video, as you noticed, and now we graduated to Henoc today. We had Serena yesterday. Now we'll get to live guests here the rest of the week, hopefully, but everybody's out of town. John Ohm in Winnipeg says, way to go, Kevin. Bang on, bro.
Nice.
Jeff the Stamps fan says, I'm going to ask what many won't. Kevin, what is a medium?
Wow. Is that from Jeff the Stamps?
Yes.
Shocked.
Yeah.
So a medium is real simple. Is I talk to loved ones that have crossed over. I also have the ability to connect with spirit guides. Spirit guides are souls in your soul family on the other side. I know a lot of times we just kind of joke with it, Kevin the Medium, but it's an actual thing. It's a Cavelli channeling is my business, and I do readings over Zoom. If anybody wants to reach out to me. You can reach me at cavelli@outlook.com or jump on my Facebook at Cavelli Channeling.
Well, it's interesting how many people don't know what it is that you do, because you look at Teresa Caputo, the Long Island Medium. Not only has she had a long-running television show on whatever channel it is, I apologize, Slice, A&E, Slice, whatever,
like whatever that
and
is.
she's coming and selling out events. She's coming to the Grey Eagle Event Center doing shows. So you're doing the same thing she is.
Exactly the same thing she does.
Yeah.
Exact same thing that a lot of these superstars do. I just do it quietly on Zoom, and
Yeah.
I don't have a camera in front of me broadcasting it.
Out of the Calgary area. So there you go, Jeff the Stamps fan. He speaks to dead people. I say dead people.
I didn't want to say that. It's such a cliche saying. What do you do? I speak to dead people.
But it's true.
It's true. That's what I do.
So
Simplified. That's what I do.
You don't mind me throwing it out there.
No.
So there's that. And thank you, Jeff the Stamps fan, for the question. We'll answer any questions. So your take, it's pretty obvious to you, to me, what you would think is Canada's game of the week in the CFL, because your favorite team is playing.
Well,
I say Edmonton, Ottawa, and I'm literally in the vast minority. I'm
It's
okay
two
with that.
undefeated teams, the best in the East, the best in the West. I wish we could get Darren on, but Darren's listening.
Yeah. He can talk.
Power rankings are what you did last week, not, oh, can you beat the team that you're going to be playing in the future? No, it's what you did last week. The Bombers laid an egg last week. Thus, they deserve to be in fourth. BC 1. I think we've got Toronto 2. No, Montreal 2 and Toronto 3. Or is it the other way around? However, it doesn't really matter second and third. But I honestly can look into the camera and say, Smurf Mafia, your Bombers belong in fourth. And you know what? They come out and put
Mafia. You heard it here.
They come out and put on a performance this week. They could jump back up into second. They're not going to be first, but they could be second.
Well, Bomber fans need to walk it back a little bit. From the movie Nerds, Revenge of the Nerds.
Uh-oh.
You just got your asses kicked by a bunch of GD nerds. Nerd!
Hey, hold on.
Something
the Lions are nerds.
It fits.
Okay.
So they got to take their lumps. But Kevin and I, when we were coming back from the Ferrari event, and I feel like I'll just shut up right now that I think about it, because you got to do more talking. The Ferrari event last night, I explained to you why I don't get upset over power rankings, polls. Why? It's out of my control. Why would I get upset? It's a waste of my energy. The Ferrari event, go.
The Ferrari event was amazing. I'm not a car guy, even though I used to sell cars. That was just something I did for a living. I'm not a huge car guy, but to see that many Ferraris in one spot, I counted them. I think I've counted somewhere about 20 Ferraris in one spot. My biggest worry was, oh goodness, there's a storm coming. If there's hail, they're going to be $20 million worth of damage because each one of these cars were $500,000 per car and above. There was one car, our buddy there said it was worth $950,000. That's insane for a car. I mean, it was cool. The vibe was cool. Met all kinds of cool people. Some of the Surge players who I was super impressed with, by the way. I think they
nice
really
guys.
represented the brand really well. I actually commented on your post when you commented or you mentioned that your picture with the Surge president. And I commented on that saying how well their players represented their brand.
Yeah. Jason Ribeiro, by the way.
Jason
and they're
Ribeiro,
home tonight to the Scarborough Shooting Stars.
We got to go to a game before you leave.
Well, I'm going tonight.
I can't.
Yeah. Sask at Montreal is the other game in the Canadian Elite Basketball League tonight. So we'll see you there tonight at Winsport.
Last minute of play. In the
last
RP
minute of play in the RP show today. The drama of round one of the NHL draft should be over by the time I got to get over to Winsport. Anything else before I let you go?
No, I'm good.
Shane Mellinson, one of our sponsors from Deer Valley Golf, says, great new segment. That's on the CFLPA. Great guys to work with to help us out to make that happen. That's what the CFL needs.
We need more of this, and you're going to see a lot more coming up with the CFLPA and the CFL in general, because I think the RP show has a huge opportunity and the CFL has a huge opportunity to really brand themselves. So it's going to happen.
Okay. Great job, Moose. We'll see you all tomorrow here noon Eastern on Game Plus. No, you say, no, don't go. 9, 8, 7. We gone. I wasn't going to hit him. I wasn't.